That's one small step for man and one giant leap for the U of A. We'll tell you about one Arkansas commander who's joining Space Force coming up.
A third vaccine started rolling out today in the United States. All coming up on UATV, I'll tell you a little bit about the side effects from these vaccines.
500,000 lives lost to COVID-19. I'll tell you what life looks like after losing a loved one. UATV News starts right now.
Welcome to this Thursday night edition of UATV. I'm Lexi French.
And I'm Sydney Brooks. Thanks for joining us. University police investigate a report of rape on campus. According to yesterday's crime log, the rape allegedly took place in the Maple Hill East dormitory the morning of January 21st. This is the fourth report of rape so far this semester. This comes just 2 weeks after university officials sent a controversial email regarding the increase in reports of rape on campus.
The rate of new positive COVID cases in the state of Arkansas decreased today. However, the Arkansas Department of Health still reports over 4,200 active cases today across the state. 12 new deaths were also reported today, and Washington falls second in line for most cases by county with 57. And cases here on the U of A campus continue to remain relatively low. The university reported one new positive case in its latest update, resulting in 14 active cases and 0 new recoveries.
Last week, the United States hit the dark milestone of 500,000 COVID-19 deaths. While hope is on the horizon with vaccinations underway, many families are still far from recovering. UATV's Heidi Kirk is live outside of Shiloh Christian High School to look back on some of those lives lost to COVID-19. Heidi?
Sydney, I'm live outside of Shiloh Christian High School in Springdale, where Carly Hawes' grandpa used to attend her sporting events. However, tonight the bleachers are empty, reminiscent of a life lost. The return to pre-pandemic life is within reach, with vaccinations actively accelerating. But for some, life won't go back to normal.
He kind of was like a force that held our whole family together.
On New Year's Day, Carly Hawes lost her grandpa to COVID-19 complications. Carly's grandpa is one of more than 500,000 lives taken too soon. A beloved father, grandpa, and a pastor, he left behind a lifelong legacy.
There's a lot of people I know that have reached out and said that he had such an impact on them.
With hospitals following COVID-19 safety protocol, Carly, like many others, wasn't able to say goodbye. Jack Bilyeu is mourning the loss of his grandma, who he hadn't seen since before the pandemic.
We called her Susie. We didn't have a crazy pet name for her, and then my grandpa was Pops. So we'd hang out with Pops and Susie all the time. They were the built-in babysitters.
Jack told me that his final memory with Susie is bittersweet, and he is grateful that he can remember her before she contracted the virus.
We brought her favorite kind of pie, and we all ate together and sat with her, and it was a really nice memory, and that was the last time we were all there with her. And then, of course, just 3 months later is when the world started to shut down.
One thing that Carly and Jack have in common is the advice that they offer for others that are coping with a loss. They both emphasize the importance of family and leaning on your loved ones in a time of grieving. Now, Jack and Carly both told me that they have upped their COVID-19 precautions after losing a loved one. Live in Springdale, Heidi Kirk, UATV News.
For those dealing with the loss of a loved one, CAPS offers grief counseling for the campus community.
President Joe Biden held a press conference earlier this week updating Americans on the newest vaccine information. Johnson & Johnson joined Pfizer and Moderna as vaccine distributors after receiving its emergency use authorization last Saturday. Originally, President Biden had said his administration would have enough vaccines by July. However, in his press conference, he sped up his timeline after pharmaceutical manufacturer Merck teamed up with Johnson & Johnson to quickly produce its one-shot COVID vaccine.
This country will have enough vaccine supply, I'll say it again, for every adult in America by the end of May.
President Biden also announced he would direct states to prioritize teachers in their vaccination plans in a bid to reopen schools. And Governor Asa Hutchinson expanded COVID vaccination Phase 1B to include meat processing workers. As many as 49,000 food manufacturers can now receive their COVID vaccination. Meat processors like Tyson Foods faced backlash for their coronavirus responses early in the pandemic.
The state of Arkansas continues to vaccinate those who belong in Phase 1B. Through federal and state programs, the ADH reports over 18,000 doses were administered today. Arkansas brought in almost 50,000 doses today. Since vaccinations began, the state has given almost 700,000 vaccines.
As more vaccines become available and eligibility is expanded, many Arkansans are scheduled to receive a COVID-19 vaccination in the coming months. UATV's James Morgan has more on what you need to know about the vaccine's potential side effects. James?
Thanks, Lexi. Now, experts are still wondering who exactly will receive symptoms from the COVID-19 vaccine. And with President Biden's plan to vaccinate more than 300 million Americans by the end of May, these vaccines are going to start becoming readily available. Now, with vaccines becoming available in pharmacies, there's a lot of discussion about these side effects from the vaccines. Now, these side effects can range from mild to even no symptoms at all, with some just experiencing a mild aching in the injection point. But this vaccine side effect means that the actual vaccine is doing its work.
I actually prefer to call them an immune response because the side effects really, in essence, are just telling us that the vaccine is working and that our body is in fact producing an immune response to coronavirus.
Symptoms typically only last 24 to 36 hours from the point of your dosage. Now, with the Johnson & Johnson vaccine coming out, the vaccines are still going to have the same symptoms as the Moderna and Pfizer vaccines. Now, I received the Moderna vaccine earlier this week, and apart from a slight soreness in my left arm, I really didn't have any symptoms. Reporting live for UATV, I'm James Morgan.
To find out more about the 3 approved COVID-19 vaccines, you can visit the Arkansas Department of Health or the CDC's website.
The university's Women's Giving Circle will honor International Women's Day with a virtual event next Monday. President of the Women's Giving Circle will serve as a moderator of the event, which will feature 4 panelists. This event will include a conversation about women empowerment and a celebration of women's achievements.
One Razorback takes command of the Stars. Air Force ROTC instructor and Lieutenant Colonel Brian W. Capps received a commission into the U.S. Space Force. Capps is the first University of Arkansas military instructor to receive this commission. The Razorback Air Force ROTC has commissioned officers of distinction for 72 years.
University Recreation hosts its annual Running of the Hogs on Saturday. The 5 and 10K race looks a bit different, though, for social distancing measures. The in-person race has a limited capacity, while UREC offers a virtual race as well. Participants can run their own virtual race through Saturday, March 20th. Capitol Hill debate begins today on President Biden's COVID stimulus package, when you could expect a decision from lawmakers on the big spending bill.
And one of the nation's largest states made a controversial change in the COVID battle this week. Find out how this change could affect Arkansas, coming up after the break.
The last day of voting on campus.
It was really incredible.
How the community received the historic polling site.
Advancements in COVID-19 testing on campus. What the administration does to combat high case numbers in Arkansas.
The University of Arkansas broke ground on a new facility. More information coming up next. UATV starts right now.
Welcome back to this Monday night edition of UATV. I'm Katie Gardner.
And I'm Cayden Hartman. Thanks for joining us. The University of Arkansas COVID-19 dashboard maintains a steady rate of new case customers. After a spike in early September, cases continue at an average of 88 per week. Despite low case numbers on campus, Arkansas overall sees a continuous rise. According to ArkansasCovid.com, active cases appear as 9,766. And in an effort to better understand the low case numbers, the Chancellor began selecting random students to participate in an advanced testing campaign. Beginning today, Chancellor Steinmetz encourages select students to take part in the testing clinic. The first 300 to take part will receive a Barnes & Noble gift card. Senior Max McCowan said he gladly participated in the testing.
I would encourage everyone to get tested even though you may not even think you are exposed, because you may be asymptomatic and you never know.
The testing takes place through the Pat Walker Health Center on campus.
Chancellor Joe Steinmetz contacts parents with a COVID-19 update. Along with discussing the number of active cases on campus, Steinmetz told parents about a lack of student testing. He later urged parents to encourage their students to get tested if experiencing symptoms or if they become exposed.
The final day of Bud Walton voting took place on Saturday. The number of ballots cast totaled just under 2,700. Voting opened on Thursday and ran through Saturday for anyone in Washington County. ASG President Julian All said the polling location on campus provided a simpler way to vote within the community.
I was kind of overwhelmed, especially the first day, people just being so receptive and so kind, especially faculty and students. We're just really grateful that it was there.
Nall says she hopes that the on-campus polling sticks around, but doesn't know what to expect in the future.
Voters can still drop off their ballots without having to get out of the car. The Washington County Election Commission offers drive-through ballot drop-off on Saturdays in October from 10 in the morning till 4 in the afternoon. Ballot drop-offs continue until October 31st. In order to drop off a ballot, voters must show a valid ID.
And early voting for the 2020 general election began in Arkansas. With the general election a week away, registered voters can visit several locations across Fayetteville to cast their vote. UATV's James Morgan has more.
Fayetteville has 3 primary early voting locations: Medical Arts Pharmacy on East Huntsville Road, Diamond Dance Studio on Weddington Drive, and the Washington County Courthouse on College Avenue. These early voting locations are open weekdays from 8 a.m. until 6 p.m. Due to social distancing regulations, lines for voting will appear longer and, in many cases, extend outside the polling place.
We definitely expect a heavy turnout for early vote. You know, our early vote is becoming more and more popular. About 60% of our votes are cast during early vote. And of course, we have more registered voters this year than we've ever had in previous years.
Absentee voting in Washington County is also expected to increase this year.
Typically, we do about 1,800 absentee ballots for a general election. We're close to over 11,000 absentee ballots for 2020.
The county clerk's office is offering curbside drop-off for absentee ballots every Saturday from 10 a.m. until 4 p.m.
We're urging voters who are receiving those absentee ballots to return them as quickly as possible.
The deadline to request an absentee ballot is October 27th, but they must be received at the county clerk's office by November 2nd.
To view all the Washington County early voting locations and their hours, you can visit votewashco.com.
The Pat Walker Health Center offers a drive-through respiratory illness clinic in the Garland parking garage. The clinic serves all students, faculty, and staff showing symptoms of respiratory illness. Those visiting the clinic receive a rapid COVID test in addition to a flu and strep test. Medical Director of Pat Walker, Dr. Huda Sharaf, says the clinic can diagnose more than just COVID-19.
The respiratory clinic is really geared towards not only trying to diagnose COVID-19 early on, but obviously, as we all know, there are other types of infections that cause similar symptoms, and we don't want to overlook that.
The clinic opens Monday through Friday from 8 to 5. Those wanting to use the respiratory clinic must make an appointment.
U of A alumni host a digital panel on race at the university. Gerald Jordan and Dr. Ron Rainey will host the 3rd town hall tomorrow evening at 6. The event features a panel of alumni to discuss their experiences here at the U of A. Those looking to attend need to register for the Zoom discussion online. And the University of Arkansas has a new addition to its School of Art coming soon. This upcoming studio and design center will bring all the different art mediums together. UATV's Kenzie Freeland joins us live with more.
Thanks, Cayden. The School of Art at Fayetteville received a very generous gift for a new art studio. It is to be located on the corner of Martin Luther King Boulevard and Hill Avenue.
The Wingate Foundation gave the University of Arkansas $40 million for its School of Art to construct a new building.
This building will really just bring all of us together.
As of right now, the art community is scattered about in different locations on and off campus.
We already collaborate. It's just hard when all of our disciplines are across campus.
Once completed, the Wingate Studio and Design Center will be 150,000 square feet, tripling the size of current work areas.
It's actually going to bring us from 7 different locations all to one central location.
Snyder is excited for the outcome of the new building.
When you get to build a new building, you get to build for the moment and the future, opposed to trying to retrofit current thinking and ideas into older spaces.
He says the art footprint on campus is pretty small and the building will provide students with visibility in new studios.
It provides students who come here to study art and design with the same great resources that the other programs have.
The goal of this project is to bring the whole art community together and to offer a new spacious environment for all art students.
I think it'll also inspire new collaborations because, design students will walk by a ceramic studio and perhaps be inspired to then work in a new medium.
The Wingate Design Center and Art Studio is set to be completed by summer of 2022. Reporting live for UATV, I'm Kenzie Freeland.
Thanks, Kenzie. The School of Art hopes to have students and faculty in the building by the fall of 2022. Hate crimes spark a need for change.
The City Council wanted to make a statement against this sort of hate crime.
How Fayetteville plans to adapt.
Fayetteville book lovers rejoice as renovations on the library continue. More coming up on UATV.